The last time I will say this privately, let it be known that my silence was never indifference. It was the war between dignity and desire. In every quiet moment I gave you, there were storms, raging, howling, begging me to say what pride kept chained. My heart has always whispered your name in the language of restraint. But tonight, in the darkness of my solitude, I let the words run free like wild Arabian stallions across the empty sands of my soul. You were never a mistake. You were a miracle I tried to protect from the cruel eyes of the world, and from the fears that haunted even a prince's heart. They will never know what we were. Not truly. Not as I know it. Not as you felt it in those trembling moments when I held your hand beneath the stars and told you without speaking, you are mine. We were not a public story. We were a sacred secret, too fragile for the stage, too immense for the shadows. But now the moon watches over me like a witness, and the winds carry your laughter like a haunting. So let me say it once, and let the heavens keep the echo. I loved you more than I ever allowed the world to see. You were the poem I never published. The stanzas that bled from my fingers every night, only to be folded and sealed into memory. And now, as I recite this truth in the court of my heart, I see your smile where the verses once lay. The rhythm of your name still dances in my chest, and I wonder if it ever will stop. You were my Shama, the rose I dared not show, for fear of envy and ruin. But no more. No longer shall I bury what is sacred. The last time I will say this privately, I do so with flames in my chest and thunder in my voice. You walked into my life like a prayer answered too late. You taught me how to feel, then taught me how it hurts to lose what you cannot claim. I never stopped being yours, I only stopped explaining why. The world demanded royalty from me, but I would have surrendered the crown for a chance to sit beside you, unguarded, unnamed, just a man who loved a woman. And I still do. Even now. Especially now. When my hands are empty and the court is silent. I wrote you 1,000 poems, all hidden behind coded lines and distant metaphors. But this is the one I will not disguise. This is the truth, bare and unedited. I am still the man who waits for your scent in the wind, who checks the stars at night hoping you are looking too, who fears that he will die before he hears your voice again. They think I've moved on. But darling, how can a river forget its source? This poem is not for applause. It is not for followers or press. It is not for the palace nor the poets. It is for you, and only you. This is for the nights you cried in silence, thinking I had forgotten you. This is for the mornings you woke up doubting my love because I kept it locked away. I kept it hidden, Shama, not because it was small, but because it was too sacred to share. But today, I say it freely. I love you. I still do. I never wanted a perfect love. I wanted you. The flawed, beautiful, stubborn, wild woman who made me laugh when I forgot how to breathe. I wanted your honesty, your storms, your scars. I would have taken every argument, every tear, if it meant I could call you mine without hiding. But love in the palace is not like love in the streets. It is guarded, restricted, watched. And I chose to protect you by walking away, not realizing it would break us both. This will be the last time I confess without an audience. The last time I pled in silence. If you ever hear my name in passing, know that it is still yours. If the wind carries this poem to your lips, let it taste like the kiss I was never brave enough to give. And if you ever wonder whether I still remember the way you looked that first evening in white, I do. And I always will. You were my weakness, but also my awakening. The fire that melted the frost in my blood. The truth is, I wanted to build a world with you far from duty and diamonds, far from lenses and lineage. A quiet world where your laugh would be my anthem and your breath my blessing. I dreamed it, again and again, even when I sat beside another woman at the royal banquets. You were the poem I read beneath my breath while the world watched a scripted performance. So this is the end of the silence. The last confession under veils and shadows. The final poem written with trembling hands and unseen tears. If I never speak of you again, it's only because I've already given you everything my soul could write. I will always be the man who chose you in his heart, even when the world chose otherwise. And if love was a war, know that I fought for you quietly, every single day. Let them say what they want, Let them guess, twist, rewrite. The truth will always belong to us. The garden we grew in secret will bloom forever in my verses. Shama, you are not just a lover. You are the rhythm of my breath. The ink in my poetry. The final beat of a song only you could hear. So take this last poem, and may it find you when the night is soft and the wind forgiving. This is the last time I will say this privately. But it is not the last time I will love you. And when the sand covers my name and my legacy becomes a tale for those unborn, may they find this truth tucked between my words. May they read between the lines and know that Sheikh Hamdan, the poet prince, once loved a woman with the fierceness of 1,000 suns, but only ever dared to say it in private. Let them search my archives, let them pore over my lines with eager curiosity, but they will never fully grasp the heartbeat behind each word. They'll see the rhymes, the imagery, the grandeur, but only you will understand the ache. Only you will know that every metaphor was a desperate attempt to touch your soul across the impossible distance that kept us apart. I buried you in verses not to forget you, but to preserve you in eternal ink. And even when they applaud, I ache, because applause is loud, but your silence echoes louder within me. There is a kind of pain that no throne can numb, no crown can silence. That pain is loving you in secrecy while living under the spotlight. You became my greatest treasure and my most profound sorrow. I've watched years pass, pretending to be at peace, while inside I crumbled quietly every time your name reached my ears through whispers. They say I am strong, but they never saw me the nights I wrote you letters I'd never send, nor the times I stared at your photo hoping you'd smile at me again through time and memory. How do you mourn someone who is still alive, still breathing, still carrying your name in her silence? That is the agony I endure. You are not gone, Shama, and yet you are unreachable. I see your elegance in dreams, your voice trailing like a forgotten song I can't replay. But this poem, this final offering, is the bridge I build from my world to yours. If it reaches you, I hope you recognize it for what it is, a plea, not for pity, but for remembrance. I ask for nothing now but to be remembered as the man who truly loved you. I am tired of hiding this hurricane behind royal protocol. I am tired of pretending that politics and appearances matter more than the woman who made me believe in softness again. You gave me a sanctuary in your eyes, one I abandoned in the name of tradition. But no tradition is worth the emptiness I carry now. This pain is not poetic, it's personal. Raw. Real. And if tonight the stars could speak, they would scream your name back at me for every time I whispered it beneath my breath and walked away like a coward wrapped in gold. I can no longer lie to myself and say I'm okay. I am not. Not when every woman I meet is just a shadow of you. Not when every palace hallway still echoes with the silence you left behind. You weren't just my muse. You were my calm, my clarity, my undoing. And now, every poem I write that doesn't include you feels like betrayal. Every smile I give that isn't meant for you feels like theft. I am performing joy on stages while my heart stays buried beneath the memory of you. The world may say I moved on, but poetry does not lie. These verses betray me daily. They drag your image from my chest and place it before the world, painted in metaphors too subtle for the crowds but clear as day to you. If you're still out there, reading between the lines, know this: I still write with you in mind. I still breathe with the hope that maybe, one day, you'll find me not as a ruler, but as the man who was always yours. Sometimes I wonder if you ever tried to reach me, if you ever wrote poems you never published, songs you never sang, or prayers whispered to the sky with my name tucked inside. Did you cry when I didn't show up? Did you hate me for obeying the palace instead of my heart? I need to know if you felt what I felt, because what we had was too vivid to be imagined alone. You must have known. Please tell me you knew, even if it's too late now to fix what we broke. This poem is my surrender. My last kneel before the altar of a love I could never protect. I fought for you behind closed doors, argued for your name in rooms full of rules and resistance. They said you didn't fit the mold. But they never looked at how you fit my soul. You made me laugh in ways no protocol ever could. You saw the man, not the prince. And that frightened them. That's why they sent you away with silence. That's why I stood frozen when I should have run after you. You weren't a chapter, Shama. You were the entire story I was too afraid to read out loud. And even now, I flip through our pages with trembling hands, afraid of what I missed, afraid of the lines I failed to write when I still had the chance. But now, I write in defiance. I speak in rebellion. This is not about shame. This is about truth. And the truth is, I never stopped belonging to you. The palace can deny it. The world can ignore it. But the moon knows. The desert knows. The ocean between us knows. I am yours. I always have been. And if fate had any mercy left, it would return you to me. Not in disguise, not in fear, but in full light. I want to hold your hand in front of the world that once told me I couldn't. I want to look at you without guilt, without restraint. I want the world to see that even princes bleed, especially when they lose their queen. You were not a lesson. You were a gift I mishandled in the name of legacy. I now understand that legacy means nothing if it's built on sacrifice and silence. I'd rather be forgotten in history than remembered as the prince who let go of his one true love. I'd rather be yours in secret than theirs in glory. But perhaps, just perhaps, this final poem will do what I never had the courage to do, reach you. And if it does, let this be the first truth we share in daylight. Shama, if you still carry a fraction of what I carry, then write me back in your own way. Even if you never say it out loud, let me feel it in the wind again. Let my soul recognize yours in the quiet. And if we're destined to meet again, not as royalty and rebellion, but as two souls who once collided in unspeakable harmony, then I will wait. In verse. In silence. In eternity. This was the last time I said it privately. If I say it again, let the world hear it. Let them all know, I was yours. I am yours.